I'm not patient. What the fuck is? Hey, Brian.
Ryan, Ryan, you need to just. This is a song you should like. Listen to this song.
It sounds more exciting than what it is.
So let's see how we can lose our next 3 listeners.
Can I tell my goddamn story?
Let's try to work on our people skills.
Can I tell my goddamn story?
Testicles, 1, 2, 1, 2. We're in the meantime with MeanDave. This is episode 41. I think the title is going to be Dan Lactose Intolerance, with my guest and old friend Dan Lactose, who will be here shortly. So we've been here. We're in coronavirus weeks. I don't fucking know, because who knows when I'll edit this motherfucker. Usually these are like every 2 to 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks the last couple weeks and all that. Whoever's thumbs down in the shit, life sucks for you. Either that or you're doing this just to think you're funny and be annoying. That's fine. It's cool. We've been getting our phantom thumbs downer. Who's probably a real thumbs downer in real life. That shit happens. Because when we used to do the show, me and my buddy James, it might even be my friend James, my old co-producer JR, we used to put the show together, episodes, I think it's like 13 through 20. Fun episodes, I think 14 through 20. And we did like 7 episodes during that run. That was like 2015 into 16. And he's a fun producer and all that. He runs Transylvanian Tapes. I plugged him on here several times. All that shit. Puts out great music. He's a real curmudgeon. Always, he's a cool dude, but then always has a problem with some little nitpicky little fucking thing every little, whatever. I could say it's because he's vegan, but I don't think it's because he's vegan. I think it's just because he's it's like anybody else who has, background in heavy music. Every now and then, you're just a fucking asshole. And we relate. We're good friends. I like him. He just got some new T-shirts from him. Puts out a bunch of great releases. Highly recommend his label. But this shirt, I'm looking forward to sport. I wore the other one he sent me. But this one I'm looking forward to wear next. Just picking gotta wait for a good thing. I think this is him. It says either that or I'm letting it into the thing. Let's see here. This could be Dan or it could be. We will find out. If it's a Zoom bomber, this would be the oddest Zoom bombing I would ever experience.
I gotta change my name here.
Oh, it's fine. No, it's great, Dan.
No, we gotta keep her out of it.
All right. I don't even know who. Oh, is that your daughter? That's right.
That's my kid.
That's your kid. That's holy shit. That's wonderful.
Gotta keep my kid safe.
Oh, I hear you. Well, I'll bleep out the name. I'll put in. I'll cover it up with all.
Maybe I should go no glasses.
Look at you! Holy shit, man! Somebody cleaned up in the quarantine. When was this?
Just like last week.
I've been only seeing you with beard. I mean, it's not like you don't look. I mean, I clean up and I still look like this, but you shaved and look at your haircut.
Well, you said you wanted to have me on the show, so
Well, that's not. This is not real. All 20 to 30. No, good to see you, man. Good to see you, man. Alive and all that shit. For anybody who doesn't know you, you're Dan Lactose of so many bands to name. The obvious one, SPAZZ. But as well as just you've played in a plethora of bands to music outfits, rap groups, and all that. Can you even say them all from memory? All the bands you've been in? Let's try.
Doubt it.
Let's try.
Well, you reminded me of Deny the Cross, which is something I don't think about that much because it was kind of barely a band. But
it didn't sound like barely a band.
Barely a band. Like how, how my favorite parts of being in a band or being in the room with everybody trying to hammer out something new. That's when it's the most fun for me. And we did that, but not as much as I would have liked to.
Well, that's what you get. You got a band with Dave Whitty of
You can't
all
turn
the
that
numerous
down.
projects, for everything from Municipal Waste and Discordance Axis, which we was known for, but then they played in Melt Banana. All that. He's gonna be busy. I mean, it's not like you pick the drummer who.
Oh yeah. Well, when Dave Whitty hits you up and says he wants to do a project, you do the project.
Exactly. So, but I know it's funny because I hit up Frank and told him how much I liked it because I mean, after all these years, it's been out for a while, and I remember liking it when I first heard it. But it was just like there's been a few times I'll throw that on, and I'll just listen to it like 2 or 3 times in a row if I'm like on a long trip somewhere or whatever. And it was
I mean, the placing when that came out, actually, I specifically remember getting the master from Dan Randall, and I burned it on CD, and I was at the Mardi Gras, and Leach was there, and I was like, you gotta go and come into my car, man, so we can listen to this master. So that's how long ago that was,
He's going to the Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
Man. And so even when I mentioned it to Frank, I love what in typical Frank response, he goes, I give that one a B-, and I was like, a B fucking minus? Are you kidding me? I'd put a plus, A-, B+. I'm like, it's a pretty sharp band. And he was all about your current project that you guys. I would say it's more of a band than a project because you guys. I think it's definitely embracing.
It's much more band-like.
It's embracing
3 dads and a kid.
Yeah, you guys are all. I mean, you're older. I think 3/4 of the band has kids, and then
we got a super young guy on drums ripping it.
Yeah,
Andy Mortville told me he thought it was a drum machine.
That I never know if that's a compliment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Andy watches these, so he'll that's why I wore the Captain.
Shout out to Andy
too. So he submits little clips. We have little things. He's got like a home improvement video for this episode to enjoy.
We got some new LED lights for the garage, and these are the old ones. So that's what it looks like now. And these are going to be quite a bit brighter, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to look like in here. You'll be able to see all the dirt and leaves even better then. So stay tuned.
What was it? So what's the new band? Or as new as
Hardfoul.
Hardfoul.
Let's see. Then I have another project called Dank Goblins.
Yes, I know about that.
That's going right now. Grand Invincible.
That's still going. That's been going.
Yeah, got a new record coming out. Kind of snuck out. Snuck out a little bit.
Was that by accident, or you mad at somebody?
No, it was like, one of those silent but violent farts, kind of.
I saw something about that. Like, I think you posted something saying like this got out.
Yeah, well, what happened is the vinyl got delayed, and the digital's on a schedule, and Jensen's really busy with a lot of stuff, and dealing with delayed vinyl is a pain in the ass unto itself. So, he spaced on the digital, and then somebody, actually Luke's wife's cousin, I guess, subscribes to the Iron Lung Spotify or something. Yeah. So the day it was released, he was like, "Yo, I didn't know they had a new record," and then Luke did a screenshot, and then it started getting shared, and all of a sudden I started having all these people hit me up, and I was like, wow, it's weird to release music now.
Well, you didn't know, yeah, well, especially when you had you didn't know, yeah, like you said, news to me, my album's released.
And something that I always try to keep it pretty secret, friends that I interact with regularly, and we share tunes, it's like, yeah, I'd send it to you or whatever, but the general public, I'm kind of I'm not really leaking
the great thing about general public, they don't notice anything these days either.
Yeah. I was like, okay, so if the digital comes out in 2020 and the vinyl comes out in 2021, maybe we can make 2 end of the year lists. I don't know if that works.
Who knows?
We're not going to be on anybody's list.
Cross, man. But no, so to go back to the first band you mentioned, Hardfoul. Describe that band.
It's just straight up kind of hardcore punk, but it's got the weird West Bay kind of creepy parts, and some
parts.
or like the creeper parts, like Asbestos Death type thing. I mean, Frank wrote a song and it's basically just Neurosis Aberration 7-inch mixed with Asbestos Death for 7-inch. So it's like
that should be a song right there for you.
But yeah, and then but our vocalist he's new to doing this, so he kind of approaches it in a totally unique way that I think really kind of, I don't know, makes the band a lot different than just if we had somebody yelling over it.
Yeah.
Carl kind of raps, but not really. I mean, I don't really know how to describe it, but it totally works.
It's funny because the vocals have grown on me some because when I first saw you guys, because my first impression of it was seeing you guys at the KFJC live performance.
Oh yeah,
and I couldn't hear him because he's on the microphone in the room, and I was like, everything sounds dope. And then when I heard the actual recording, I was like, huh. I didn't expect his voice to be so even tone, it wasn't like it was or just kind of, it was his voice. It was just his voice, and he was yelling it a little bit more that day because it was, I mean, obviously the volume was there, but it has since grown on me quite a bit. So I enjoy the tracks that you sent me you sent me both the KFJC thing, but then also the the demo is those tracks, I think, also, right?
Yeah, the demo was like the live, because people kept bugging us, they wanted to hear it, but we didn't want to, we had a Bart session recorded that ended up being the split with These Bastards plus some other songs, and we didn't want to start sending that around, till the record was out. So we were like, oh, well, we got this great recording that Grauer and his crew did, so we just pressed up some CDs of that.
Totally. No, like I said, you don't want to wind it up on Spotify without your knowledge.
Yeah, again.
Hard foul, just bumping. But so those are the members, like you said. You got Carl and Frank of all of the, practically everything West Bay, doom writing, bass playing, and whatnot. And this kind of was inspired by. Am I correct? It was inspired somewhat from the Curly and Franco podcast, or was that
totally? Yeah,
that's where they were described. Yeah. Because
Frank likes to come up with what he calls fake bands.
Yeah.
So he came up with this whole concept of this band that was tough guy hardcore, and he had the whole, he had the whole aesthetic and logo and everything all figured out. But once we started jamming, he realized I don't want to really try to do something that's not us. It's just kind of.
It's a starting point, a humorous starting point, but then you guys go and take it on your own.
We just do what we do.
Yeah.
But I love playing with Frank, man. It's, it's always good to, and then Chris, our drummer, is just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I had met Chris in San Jose, going to the rock shop and stuff. And, he was a guy that I always talked to in between bands.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was like, oh, this guy's this cool kid, and,
I forgot that
Frank actually brought him into the band, and then I was like, oh shit, and I was like, this kid, he knows, he's gonna know, we're gonna play riffs and he's gonna know exactly,
We've
what
seen him around. That was the thing, is because I've seen him at shows forever, and I was like, I know that guy from somewhere, because I would see him around at Melvin shows, whatever, any heavy band shows I went to, I would see that dude around. And I know he's from the scene, but I also was like, I've seen him even before this. He was in bands, during Funeral Shock, and shows when he was a kid too.
We played with that band Bird. No, that was Torture Unit.
No, I think. No, you guys played with Bird. Yeah, that was later.
Oh, so that brings it to another band. I accidentally named a band I was in that.
There was another one, but no, Bird. Actually, I don't know if Chris was in that. He might have been at some point, but I know.
I think he was at some point. He was telling me, and I was like, did you play Gilman with Torture yet? I don't remember.
He was in I know it may not have been Bird, because I know that what's funny is that guy Alex Pollock, who was on the previous show. He was the singer for Bird.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah. So, and that had because I
might be totally wrong.
He shot me video, and it had Fern, and it was some other drummer. It wasn't it. wasn't Chris, but Chris might have been in another band. Chris played in bands that we played in, or we played with. But yeah, so you just found some Torture Unit tapes. I saw your post about that. That was a band we had for a minute in the 2000s, I remember.
That was me and my wife, Jasmine, and Stinkweed, and then Vinny and Dave from Falling Over Drunk and Life Without, Cindita, Dave Meshach. Like, you're talking about seeing people. I'm like, man, I haven't seen anybody.
I mean, believe today, at this point in life, our years are like weeks, very long weeks. And they go, it's like you forget how long it's been, and since you see.
Oh yeah. I mean, shit, man. My friend Jake had a kid, and I haven't even met the kid, and it's almost 1 year old.
That's right.
And that's a guy that I would probably see like every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Normally,
family dudes now. You guys are family dudes. How old's your?
Well, and then the pandemic kind of jams everything.
Well, that does too. But it's But I hadn't seen you probably in person since 2000 maybe 17. When you guys played Mardi Gras, when it was you were DJing, but it was all the Doom Rider bands. There was Healer.
Oh yeah,
Redacted, and I think and a couple other bands had the dude.
Got a gun.
The infamous gun. Yeah, the guy. I know who that guy is too. Mikey something. No, I found that out later. It is strange how much everything's fallen apart. It's not strange. It's to be expected, but like, everything from like pirate punks. It's funny because like I wore a pirate punk shirt in a photo that was, and I rarely wear that shirt. I left it at my ex-girlfriend's place to wear when I was over there, for no one to be seen because I know that it now has like this negative connotation. There's a few people still hanging on to it, but they don't.
Are they? Because I was wondering, like, were people burning their pirate punks like shirts?
Did.
Because
I don't know. It's like everybody was a scumbag at one point, and then everybody sort of all of a sudden overnight decided I'm going to be a wholesome human being now, and I don't know. Strange. And so that's why I'm like, I just sort of, not to say like everything bad was like not where it was that like it was good or anything, but I feel fortunate that I was in my 20s and 30s and kind of knew to just watch my P's and Q's in those environments. I don't know. It's a very, very strange time. So anyway, but yeah, that's because all the pirate punk shit's gone. Oh, yeah, I wore this pirate punk shirt in a photo, and or in a photo my ex-girlfriend put on Instagram, and then somebody commented like, "Oh, that shirt there." I'm like, yeah, I wear this on purpose in place. I wasn't expecting to have a photo, just fuck off about the shirt. It's like, I'm still proud of it because I got it. I played at Libertatia that weekend, so whatever. But yeah, so since quarantine, as a matter of fact, so here you are. You've been playing music now since how old? You were a teenager?
Yeah, probably really started trying to do stuff when I was like in 7th grade. 7th
grade. So you're like 11, 12. So you're like well over 30 years. Well over 30 years playing music now.
Trying to play.
Well, still I'd still be playing if I didn't get a second DUI and had a car and drove and all the other shit. But it's just too difficult now. But for the most part now, because again, being a dad, got, job and all that stuff. And now the pandemic, how has music been? Has music been, kind of an outlet for you in this time?
I gotta say, like, initially I was kind of like, oh, I have all this time, and then I just felt like, man, I'm just not all the shit going on with, my dad and, my family. Like, my dad's elderly and he's got some health stuff, and, just trying to keep them home and, take care of them when the shelter in place happened. And man, it was really kind of wearing me down, stressing me out. I was really exhausted.
Yeah.
and I couldn't find the creativity,
Yeah.
you know, at first. And then I don't know, you know, it's like sometimes that shit comes in waves, and I just got hit by all this inspiration, and I kind of started doing a bunch. Actually drawing. I started drawing again, and that kind of inspired me to, like, you know, be like, man, I just gotta, you know, be creative and not just sit around and be like, I'm tired, you know, I'm stressed out, you know, channel it into something. But I've been trying to wrap things up, you know, like projects that have been lingering. Because I really want to do new stuff, but I feel like I have kind of these projects in the works. The Grand Invincible album that's finally coming out was one of them. And that's something I finished.
Maybe Spotify helped you get that out there.
Well,
like,
the pandemic, the pandemic definitely helped me, you know, say, okay, I gotta get this shit done.
Yeah.
And I got a couple other things. Actually, Dank Goblins has been recording an album, and that basically was perfect for this because, you know, the drummer's in Las Vegas and Frank's in Gilroy, and I'm here, and we all have studios, and Luke's a part of it too. And he just had, you know, he had twins around the time when we started, so like he was kind of in, like, you know, trying to figure shit out mode, and it just kind of worked that, you know, everybody's schedule was different. We were, you know, we weren't going out to gigs or jamming with bands, so it was like when people had time to work on music, you just go in the studio, come up with something. So we've been working on that. Now it's all sitting on me to tie up all the loose ends.
I just heard Dank Goblins for the first time because I mean, I'll be perfectly honest, I really lagged a lot of times in catching up with. I mean, I told you I got the Alpha Ghoul shit like a year after it already came out and got into it later. But no, I heard the side that's a split with Healer, and it got into that, and it's definitely. What's the explain like Dank Goblins, the sound of that versus like some, because it sounded different. It definitely sounded.
Yeah. So that came about because Justin Briggs, who does the label Warthog Speak, he hit me up and was like, hey man, I'm pressing the Healer demo on vinyl, but it's like 4 minutes long.
Yeah, it's really short.
And I don't want to do a one-sided 7-inch.
Yeah.
So they were like, you know, could Dan come up with some hip-hop shit for the other side?
Something up, like, Dan. Throw in some bullshit, please.
Yeah, I know. And I was like, well, shit, man. I mean, I don't want to just give you some beat, you know, or whatever, because I really like that Healer demo. And you know, I knew that it was kind of going to be a record that people were going to go back to just for that band. You know, and I mean, you know, Tony has like kind of his own fandom.
No shit.
You know, people that are Tony Molina fans are just going to buy that record because it's Tony Molina.
And what's funny is they will not even. I know some of these dorks too. Like I know them from comedy. I've met a couple of these fucking dorks in Santa Cruz, and they're nice guys. I've worked with, they're fucking dorks. I mean, they're like big in like the hipster comedy scene bullshit. And I remember when I remember seeing Tony Molina's name around. I'm like, why do I know that name? Like, I don't even really know the name. I barely knew him. And I mean, I remember seeing him around and I was, you know, friends with him. And then when I was able to put it all together, I'm like, that's the motherfucker who was playing in Daly City bands and shit. I know him. And then I heard the stuff he was playing, and naturally it's very good stuff. It's nothing I would ever want to listen to on my own, but it combined like the short stuff of like what you get, what like hardcore and all that stuff came from, with all of this poppy stuff, and he just made these very short, very catchy poppy tunes that these fucking kids eat the fuck up out of. Yeah, and then he has this fan base that fucking loves him. And then what was funny is when I saw him at fucking Mardi Gras, and I said, dude, I gotta take a picture with you so I can send it to these fucking dorks that I know from comedy that are like fans of yours, and that have no idea. They would not know how to. This shit would just fucking twist their head because they wouldn't know what to do with it in their head. Like that's Tony Molina's band, you know.
No, I was at somebody's wedding, man, and like I don't know how somebody found out that I knew him, but this totally drunk dude came up to me and was like, man, you gotta get him, tell him to do this and tell him to do that. And I'm just like, no, nah, fuck you, man. Like, what the fuck?
Why don't you write an email?
Okay, so you're a fan of my friend's music, but don't come up here like, I mean, damn.
That's why Tony's smart. He stays off social media, man, because that's all of that fan base.
It's toxic.
Totally social media dependent.
I mean, and he likes, I mean, not to, get it all into Tony, but he, one of the raddest things about him is he likes a lot of different kinds of music.
Oh, yeah.
And then he does his own kind of interpretation of them. And he does a lot of stuff that he doesn't really, he doesn't put out. He's got so many weird projects and bands that like, just like float within the circle. And I mean, some of that stuff is like so good.
No, it just
reminds
me of anything that sometimes a lot of the times something I'll really like, and it's the fans that I can't stand. Yeah, hopefully someday I'll do something really wrong, and then somebody will come back to this and be like, Dan Lactose, you're in that video with that Mean Dave comedian who, just did, whatever. I don't even know
that's
what
going to happen to everybody, right? Everybody's connected.
That's why I love the Curly and Franco podcast. The one, did you ever listen to that one? The very, very wrong one, or the not safe, or the offensive? It was the most recent one. They only do one.
Oh yeah. That
was. I was laughing for a straight 2 hours, just hearing somebody talk like you're on the playground on acid again, over and over, saying all of the bad words that you're not supposed to say, and articulating why, which was
Frank breaks it down, man, in a very
I want to get canceled,
humorous way.
I want to be canceled. Like, that was just hearing his voice, but that was where he started his band. I mean, I remember on Twitter, he was just doing that on Twitter, where he was saying just like not so much he was trying to be offensive, but making these tweets that were just like a few words, because again, that's where this idea like hard foul, I think, kind of came from, and one of those words was gape tard, which then became his solo project of and I remember seeing some of the names of the songs, and they are pretty much the tweets that he used to make. Exactly. I think one of the songs is called "Homophobic Tweets," which I fucking love that title.
Yeah, racist and homophobic tweets.
Yeah, that's why I like. And then Hard Foul. The funny thing about because I get that the band itself is like, again, it's an excuse to like, because again, getting older, having a band. It does remind me of, like, oddly enough, I'm reading the American Hardcore book again, and then I was watching the documentary on New York Hardcore, and this is, out of all the West Bay bands, this is the one band that reminds me of just a hint of New York Hardcore, kind of because of the singer too, the style of the vocals of the singer, because they got some of the I mean, he doesn't strike me. I mean, I've met Curly, he's a very cool dude, but he's a big white dude, shaved head, wearing jerseys and stuff like that. He looks like he is no stranger to fights, even though he's a dad and all that kind of shit. These are not pussies. And so that's what it reminded me of, some of the hardcore kind of sound of that. So and I gotta tell you, Frank's fully on the hard foul tip, because when I mentioned the Deny the Cross Alpha Ghoul LP, he was like, B-. I'm all about this hard foul. I'm like, all right, cool. And the T-shirt itself, which I just got, is the logo, the graffiti logo with the bird looking like a like foul, like FOWL. Yeah. So you guys are into
Chris's homie doing that.
You're getting wordplay. What the fuck was that? who drew that thing?
Chris's buddy. I wish I could drop the name, but I don't even know if I ever knew. He just said, my homie's drawing this thing. So we ended up giving the guy a bunch of merch just as thanks for doing it,
So I have a question. It's like, was everybody on board with that design, or was that just something that you guys...
Well, I mean, so Rick had that whole idea, and I was like, okay, I'll try to draw something, but I don't know. And I did this drawing, and it just looked like some, sexy foghorn leghorn guy, and I was
gangster foghorn leghorn. No, it's foghorn leghorn.
Yeah, but mine looked like it was foghorn leghorn, all buffed, like from the cover of a romance novel.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Fabio Leghorn.
Yeah, exactly. Fabio Leghorn.
I see. Well,
so, yeah.
Yeah, I dig it. I dig it because also, like, when I saw the album cover of The Split, that's the other thing I fucking love is that's kind of what I pictured with the name too because I guess they're basketball fans, and I don't know if you're a basketball fan as well, but
I'm not. I'm just in a basketball themed band, and I'm the only one on social media, really.
Seeing that one dude doing the hard foul of the hand right in the face of the other player, and I was like, that's what I pictured.
That's Frank and Curly's concept, man. They they all the lyrics and everything. Those guys are batting that all back and forth, and
nice.
I joined their band. I always look at it as it's their thing,
Mm-hmm.
But it came out really cool, man.
It did. Yeah. No, and you contribute. You're able to contribute, I'm sure, what your ideas.
Definitely with riffs and writing, and what we did, which was really unique, is we kept whittling the songs down,
mm-hmm.
And we just kept playing them for about a year,
mm-hmm.
and we just kind of kept tweaking the arrangements. And I'd never really been in a band where we did that, and I guess we were able to do that because we weren't playing gigs. You can't really be changing the arrangement every week if you're playing gigs. It's confusing,
Yeah. True. Well, that's really funny for you to say when you come from bands that I think all of them have pretty unique arrangements.
Well, it was weird to just kind of we labored over the arrangements a lot more, I think, than
before
in past projects I've done.
Because every one of the, I even was what was most threatening to me about playing in a band with you and Jeff and all you guys was because all of the bands you've been in, I've listened to fast music, but I never listened to it with the intention of ever playing anything that fast, nor with all of the changes that occurred. And I played in one of what I would say was the least technical of all of those types of styles, but yet still, again, it's if you would, I always keep saying, if you would have taken me in 2001 or 2 and played me an album that we were playing in 2003 and 4 and said, you're the drummer of this band, I would have been like, bullshit. I don't play that fast. I can play all right, but I can't play.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
The rhythm section of you and Jeff, man,
it's good. Yeah.
Great to play with.
You had to rise to those. That was something that I would never saw myself doing. Granted, I had to puke after every show for the first 2-3 years, but your body gets used to it. You did bands, because you were. The ones that I know of, there's Sheep Squeeze or SPAZZ. You had other projects around that time, I'm sure.
I was in a band called Clout.
Clout, that's right.
A lot of the stuff that no one knows about, it's either some weird tape that didn't really circulate. Clout basically kind of fell apart after we did the recording, and got the recording finished.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis was in Clout.
That's right. No, because we talked about that one.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I felt like when I brought him into the band, that inspired the other guitarist more. But the drummer was drifting, and that was kind of the issue. Yeah. I don't think the drummer dude was into it. He was a lot older than us.
Yeah.
John John was the guitarist who kind of founded the band, and then Joe was the drummer.
Mm-hmm.
And John was a lot older than me.
Mm-hmm.
He was probably 6 years older than me, maybe more. But I feel like I was in high school, and I swear, man, that dude Joe was probably 30.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So
I remember one day we had jammed at a multiplex down in San Bruno or something, Burlingame area.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like at a round table afterwards. It was just me and him were eating pizza, and he just, he was drinking a beer,
of course,
and he looks over at me and he's like, I can't believe I'm hanging out with someone so young.
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't have to hang out with me, bro. Like, I got friends.
Required. No, it's in the code of the bands. You gotta hang out with your band members. Well, no, it's funny because I remember feeling that way from time to time in Woozor, even though I was 5 years older than those dudes, and we felt like peers, but then there would be reminders like, oh yeah, they're under 21. Oh yeah, they're, I'm 22, 23. They were, 18, and yet, we jam fine and stuff, but like there's little things as far like remembering we couldn't play places that probably would like us because they weren't all ages and shit like that, as opposed to all ages shows.
Chris Dodge was a lot older than me too.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not sure how much older.
Yeah.
But once again, I was in high school when we were doing that band.
Yeah. Sure. Because Happy, and then you had SPAZZ, and then after SPAZZ, you were briefly in Calmex and the Riff Merchants in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
I saw a video that Curly shared, which was hilarious because it was Thomas drumming, Shanky Tooth playing guitar, you and Stinkweed on guitar, and I think Snowman might have been playing bass somewhere or whatever. But the funniest part about it is both you and Stinkweed were not playing your guitars the entire clip. You were just sitting there like kind of bobbing your heads. And Stinkweed was cracking me up more because he had I think he had one of those pantyhose masks with the dangling, pantyhose leg, and he was just sitting there like play that shit, like just pumping his fist. And I was cracking up because I
think because there were songs that we didn't know. That first show was a little premature because
it was funny.
We had like 2 or 3 songs that everyone actually knew.
It just cracked me up to see. I always love shit like that. Just where just look. I'm like, I wonder if they knew that they filmed this.
No, man, back then, shit. Didn't think it was going to be accessible on my little pocket computer, fucking 20 years later.
I was tired. But yeah, so you had a brief stint in that. And was there anything, because then you left that, you were doing, at that time, then you started making more, your beats were doing more, and was Shed Dweller?
Yeah, Shed Dwellers, I joined that in around 95.
So that was before Shadow People. That's what
that was, and that kind of was already going to some extent.
But yeah, you contributed and were DJing for them.
And then actually Kendra was the one who hit me up and asked me, can you make beats? And I said, I think so. I just don't have the gear. So that's kind of how that started. And then, we did that for a long time. And then, Shadow People was a rap group we did after. And that was kind of something I wanted to do because Shed Dwellers just became kind of just this insane Wu-Tang, a million people, and when we would try to get a show, it was okay, people need to show up to rehearse these songs. And if you have a bunch of people on these songs that you can't find, or they're not going to show up to the show, you can't perform the song,
Do it.
I wanted to do a group where it was me, Tizzo, and Stinkweed, because I knew that we would be able to do shows and, practice and stuff.
You'd show up. Yeah.
So that's what that was.
Yeah. Cause that's when I think I started seeing, I realized what show we met, or when I introduced myself, it was at Blast, when Blast played at. I was trying to remember which
Cactus
show it was
Club.
when I went up to you and talked to you and reminded you of the Dennis Cullen connection. So it was that one, because I think also the Cliftons might have been opening for Blast that day or whatever. That was my
And I remember we did I think we did a record trade through the mail.
We did after that, because I had
it was probably because of that.
Yeah, we were. That was kind of initial contact. Cause I'd also met. I had seen Jeff at a couple shows, but I started talking to Jeff at the same time. I was doing all the label trade shit with my Woozor crap and whatever other stuff I was trying to put out, and 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 then I even played like a show with Cal Mix and the Riff Merchants at Chemo's with my one-man band. And then so that was where I originally ran into you, or I talked to you. I might have seen Shadow People before then, or around that time, because that was when I saw Shadow People perform at Gilman. Might have been with that Dead Bodies Everywhere show. I saw a flyer you posted recently.
Yeah, Paul posted that flyer.
Yeah, I might have been the show, but it was at Gilman. I remember that, and I got a demo.
When was that Blast reunion? I guess that was after 2000.
And it was like 2000, and it was either 2000, 2001. I want to say.
Crazy. Okay.
Yeah, because I would think 2001, because I kind of remember Jeff was the one who emailed me from a flyer in like 2000. I remember I was working in San Jose, and I remember typing the email there where I was working at in San Jose, and then I came into contact with you around that time as well, because it was all like
that's Shadow People 2001 was weird.
Okay, so then that was
rolling.
So then because then I remember that, and then also like making contact with Frank and Jason from Dead Bodies. Well, Jason and Dead Bodies Everywhere, and Frank, just seeing him. I mean, when we did the show with the Riff Merchants and whatever, I started to get to know the Doom Riders and all those guys. I still didn't even have it all down as to who was in what or whatever. I think I even went to the Plutocracy show at Mission Records, one of the Plutocracy reunion shows, and there were way too many fucking people there. I'm like, I'm not cramming in that puke-filled room. Like, I just heard it out in the main area. I'm like, I can hear it out here. I don't need to see it. So, and then we formed Funeral Shock, and that was from 2002 to 2009. During that time, because you mentioned Torture Unit. Was there other bands that you jammed in during that time?
Well, me and Luke did Underbucket,
which will be on the Wolfman Cop coming soon.
Which was before Funeral Shock, if I'm remembering.
It was around that time. Might have been. It might have been.
It's all kind of blurry.
It was around that time. It was around the same time. I'm imagining.
I played guitar in Whores of War.
Whores of War. That was another. You made a 7-inch. Yeah.
I'm not on the 7-inch.
You're not on the 7-inch, but you played.
No, I played with them for maybe like 2 or 3 shows with them. I did another band with most of those people, minus the singer, called Carpet Pissers.
I think I remember that name.
We recorded a demo that was pretty funny.
Nice.
Man, I'm trying to find a copy of it. And
yeah.
That's something that's like digital but lost. I don't know, maybe somewhere on a old hard drive. I had a tape of the last Funeral Shock songs. It was from our practice rehearsals that were the songs that never had lyrics to, and they were dope songs. I remember loving them. There was at least like three songs that we had on deck. They were on deck for like 3 years too, and that was one of my, I was doing a lot of coke at the time, but that was one of my main like resentments, that like, as far as, because I would remind Tom and yada yada, and I'm like, we have 3 songs that are fucking dope, and no one's fucking writing anything. I do remember that. Yeah,
there were 6 songs, and because I remember just the rhythms of them and stuff, and I went through and I found some tapes because I was going through boxes of just crap recently and rearranging my room, and I found the tape that I'm pretty sure they were on, and it was caked in. It was all stuck together, like,
oh man,
like soda or whatever the fuck, like
beer spilled on it,
whatever was in my car, and I was so like pissed, because I'm like, I know that's probably the one tape that had them, because I've been transferring stuff. I got one of these digital or it's a cassette to MP3. I actually made a rip of Torture Unit if you want.
Oh man,
I can shoot it to you.
Does it sound good? I've been wanting.
Not bad. It's not bad. The only trouble is I think sometimes you gotta, like, it speeds up. It might every now and then, as with cassette, might play them too fast, but I just try it again and make sure it plays normally. And then the other thing it does is every now and then, not often, but it might have like a strange noise. Like, I had to make sure that it didn't happen all the time, but a noise will be like, it'll come up with like a like this weird white noise out of nowhere, and then I just have to like scrap that one and start over and do it again. So it's got some strange ticks, but I imagine that's just what comes with this, with all this, you know, transferring analog to digital type shit. So yeah. So okay, so then
other bands, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah,
that might cover. You might have others in there. There's definitely, I mean, because then you did After Funeral Shock was when I think. Well, I mean, you were doing more like Grand Invincible. Was there a band after Funeral Shock right away, or I don't.
I mean, I broke my elbow and then I couldn't play. I had all these complications. I'd have surgery and I couldn't play guitar for like a couple years.
Oh wow, I didn't know.
And I think like Torture Unit was kind of the first band that I played guitar in. I could finally play again. And that was when we were doing Torture Unit, was when Dave Whitty hit me up and, you know, was like, hey, you know, let's do a project. I was like, man, I'm in bad shape, man. Like, you know, like I haven't played guitar in years because my arm was so fucked up. And I just feel like now I don't, you know, my arm is different. Part of my elbow has been sawn out.
That was from that bike accident, or when you got
I got
car, huh?
I got hit by a car riding my bike to work.
That's right. I forgot about that.
So yeah, that kind of fucked shit up. But you know, actually Torture Unit came about because Kindred wanted to know Jasmine.
Kindred wanted to know Jasmine?
He wanted to do a band with her.
Oh, with Jasmine.
Because he would always be at the house and she would be like playing guitar and stuff. And he'd be like, man, you can play guitar. Like, let's do a band. You know, I mean, that guy, it's like, if you had anything that you could do musically with him, he was like, let's do it.
Let's do something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That is cool. Because
no, I want to miss an opportunity.
I forgot he was in that band. That's when I went and looked in the cassette, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot that he was in this shit. That was great.
Well, and really the reason that whole band started is because the band that was splitting the jam space with Agents of Satan left, like broke up.
Yeah.
Or moved out. And they were like, we're gonna lose our jam room if we can't find another band. So Stinky was like, well, I'm gonna make a band then.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is he was already an agent and he didn't pay rent for his share in that band. I knew he wasn't going to pay rent for his share in this band.
Oh, he's going to find some. He's going to find some marks. That's what
so me and Jasmine were like, oh yeah, we'll pay a band. We'll play in a band. You know, what's the other half of the rent? Okay, find these other people to throw in. It's doable, right?
Yeah.
So we find Vinny. He's down.
Yeah.
Kindred asks this old friend of his, Jesse, to sing, and he's like all about it, you know. So we're like, okay, we're down, you know. We're in for the rent, you know. Okay, rent's due on this day. I call up, you know, Jesse, who I don't really know that well, to say, hey man, you know, so like I need the rent for, you know, the room. He's like, bro, I could either give you this rent or I could buy shoes for my kid. And I'm like, fuck. Well, I mean, that's your decision, man.
Nobody puts that on. Oh God, man.
And so, you know, long story short, that dude
the kid walked in the old shoes. I know, Dan. I know you. The kid walked in the old shoes for another month.
No, dude bailed on the band and the rent, and I was pissed because I was like, yo, man, we've already committed to this, so me and Jasmine had to pick up the slack of you know, the rent, and then one other person, because, you know, we can't throw this on Vinny to. Yeah. It was just fucked. And then the reason the band broke up was actually having to do with rent.
Yeah. Makes sense. No, you fucking kidding me?
With the band. Yeah. And I was like, Jazz and I can't pay for half a jam spot. And then the guy who was this was at RHL.
Yeah.
In Redwood City,
RHL. Yeah.
Right. And so most of the rooms have a door that you enter in off the parking lot, right? But the room that we were in, you entered into this weird kind of like lobby area that like had like a front desk, and it was very bizarre. And so there was this other jam room to on one side, right? Well, it was the guy who was the manager, and he also sold weed.
Mm.
And he also lived with his parents.
Mm-hmm.
So that room was his little man cave with like, you know, all his bongs and his drum set and his computer. And because he was the manager, he came up with some bullshit ass rule where that only people that were allowed to jam there was only like 2 bands per room, and only the members of those bands could be in the room.
Yeah.
And so like I brought Witty there, and this dude's flipping out. I'm like, do you know who this fucking guy is? You're like a drummer. This is one of the greatest drummers in America of like heavy music. And you're trying to sweat this fool out of the room because you're tripping on your weed spot?
Oh, man. What luck.
It was, you know, I don't know, man.
You should take a picture of this motherfucker in front of RHL and use it as promo. And smoke your bomb. You know? Shut the fuck up. You know?
But yeah, it's just so that kind of Torture Unit was a total rent band.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, you made a demo, or you made a tape with it. So I mean, you know, it's not. And you played some shows, I'm pretty sure.
We played some shows.
Yeah, you played some shows and shit. So
an infamous show where our singer called the police on the show.
Why? Pray tell, what was
so
for that?
We played at this place called the Swamp in Oakland. Have you ever been there?
I think I remember the Swamp. Yeah.
I don't think they'd ever had a band play there before that had 2 guitars because they didn't have enough outlets for that many amplifiers. And first thing that happened is I unplugged something to plug in like a power strip that I had in my bag, because you know I carry a power strip. And I guess I unplugged a bunch of shit in the house above us, you know, where everybody lived. Oh, and some girl came down screaming at me, you know.
Yeah.
That was how setting up went for that gig. Yeah. And then we play whatever, you know. I thought we were good, but you know, we're that was like what year was that? I don't know.
I imagine this was like after 2010.
2010, I think.
Yeah.
So, you know, Oakland at that point was like post-annihilation time.
Yeah.
Everybody's like crust vested out.
Yeah.
You know, like fake scumbag kind of style. And, you know, then there's us. We show up to play, you know. So people just aren't into us just because of how we looked, really.
Yeah, guys, you don't look like you look like you're not them.
No, we're not. Yeah. So it was just a weird show. And then we're all hanging out outside, you know, drinking beers in the front. And I guess the kid I wasn't really paying attention. I actually ran into Jeff from Second Opinion.
Oh, yeah.
At that show, who I hadn't seen in a long time. And he had been in recovery and stuff. And so we were like hanging out, and, you know, he was doing really, you know, seemed really positive. So that was good. So I remember I was hanging out with him, and something happened in the yard next door. And what turns out is like the neighbors were either drinking or pissed about the bands, and somebody from the show went over some kid, and there was a fight, and they knocked this kid out, one of the neighbors. So the kids at the gig were like freaking out, you know, and this girl is like screaming, like, call an ambulance or something, like call 911, right? Like what? So fucking Meshack calls 911.
Oh shit. Oh, it's Meshack who called 911. This was when he was doing vocals. Okay, I thought this was...
No, he was the vote. Well, because that other dude, man, he had to buy the shoes.
Okay, so he had
to buy the shoes.
I knew there was somebody else that was involved. I was like, Meshack was involved.
Meshack was involved.
Okay, that sounds like what Meshack would. Yeah, he's like...
So he's like, well, I called 911, you know, and we're just like, you did what?
Oh, no.
And so Jasmine's like, dude, we got to get out of here.
Yeah, that's when you pack up and go.
So we packed our shit up and we got on the road. But I realized, like, you know, Stinkweed was wasted, and we just had to like wrangle him into the car.
Yeah.
And we get in the car, and I realized, oh, he doesn't know what just happened.
Yeah.
So we start telling him.
Oh no!
And he's like,
"Get involved."
we're already in the car on the freeway.
Thank God.
So he's like, I'm gonna have to kill that guy. You know, like he just wants to kill Meshack for calling cops on there.
No shit.
Oh,
yeah, you don't
man.
call the
never
cops
a dull moment.
Yeah, you don't call the cops around the sniping pigs guys.
I mean, you don't call the cops on like the underground punk show. I don't know.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like, short of like, I mean, even if something really, murder and all that, it's like, you know what? That's just a good time to go.
Yeah, it's a good time to go.
Let them handle it.
See you guys later.
Yeah. I remember that one of the funniest times when we were rolling up to Burt Ramen, we were all in your car, you, me, and Jasmine, and we had all your stuff in and we hit traffic, and this was one of those times where we were just minding our business, just do talking in the car, and then we hear and we were like, what the fuck? And we see a car. We're moving along in this. It wasn't like snail's pace, but it was slightly moving. But we're moving along with the traffic. It's packed lanes, and we see this dipshit that's in some, I don't know, one of those fucking sideshow cars or some shit, and he's skidding on the bank of the dirt bank of 880. Alongside us, like he was going so fast that he's going sideways now, skidding at an angle, like literally. I'm looking at him. I remember looking over, and he's keeping pace with us, moving just slowly, but he's skidding, as a result of braking and turning his car. And I just remember going, Dan, if I were you, I'd brake right about now. And I think Jasmine said something too about braking right then. And you braked at the perfect time, because we thought, as soon as I saw this, I'm like, oh, we're fucked. And that dude ended up.
Yeah, you saw it way before I did.
Yeah, I was right there. I had the front row.
I couldn't see. We were all three of us in the cab. I couldn't see, and I just remember you saying, "Watch out for this guy."
Yeah, I said, I'd brake right about now, and like Jasmine said, brake or something, brake too, like confirmed it, because when she saw the guy, because basically he was pulling along, and then he started coming straight down. And luckily you braked right in time, because he missed us by inches. And basically somehow, like, this is when, again, like there's times
he was like spinning across he lost control and spun and hit the center divide.
Basically cut across and went completely perpendicular sideways across all 3 or 4 lanes of traffic. And somehow this dipshit didn't hit one car. I remember everybody braked like at the perfect time. That's when I was just sort of like, these morons were just protected by fucking God and stupidity, the God of stupidity, because they cut across in front of everybody, and then they wound up with their car basically facing the opposite direction in the center divide, which was like unbelievable, like how that shit. Because we just thought, oh great, we're gonna get hit by this car, our equipment's gonna be all over the place, and we won't be able to make the gig. And then luckily. That shit just, we were like, whoa, oh, all right, well, that was a nice little panic adrenaline, and we're back on the road.
Yeah, and then it was kind of like, all right, onward to Richmond.
Lucked out. We'll have a fun story to tell everybody that no one will believe us about when we get to the fucking show. But I don't know. There's so many times I had a wonderful time in those bands. I apologize for quitting at the time of my at the height of my my cocaine use, but
all right, man.
Those things.
We had a good run. We had made a lot of great memories in that, and music too.
Exactly. No, I love the music. It was funny because Jeff, I need to find a way to email him or something just to see how he's doing, because I saw the post. When is this West Coast Power Violence movie coming out? I'm hoping it comes out sometime, because I see their posts about the interviews, and it's always cool, like seeing that shit. But I'm like, is this movie coming out? And they had a post, I think it was probably last year, with Jeff talking about the Funeral Shock, and he had the Funeral Shock record, and he said it was the funnest time he ever had playing in a band. And I was like, that made me a little kind of like, because you guys played in some heavy hitting bands.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Well, see, the thing about Funeral Shock, man, was like, we just were having fun, man.
We were.
I just feel like there wasn't really I don't know, man. We just went out there to have a good time.
Well, man, you guys had an idea to start, and then
it morphed into something else.
Well, I mean, the core. I mean, because again, like we had, I think Jason was with us there at the time, and then at the point when, he kind of reached his threshold, and then I think that was the thing that again. That's the other thing too. I remember thinking once Jason quit, and that kind of sent a little rift through little Sam. Like, everybody will get over this, but it'll be after. Like, I remember just thinking, like, everybody's gonna be mad at me and these guys for a minute, but as soon as I remove myself from this equation at any point, everybody's gonna be just fucking tits. Watch. And then sure enough, years later, when I quit, and then I see everybody today, and I see Jason, I see everybody. Everybody's totally fucking cool, and I'm glad that is. Because last thing you need is people being petty over music. But yeah, I mean, then just keep, because I remember just he was like quit, and then he was like, so yeah, the band's no more, and then I remember you guys were like, hell, it is. And you guys went to the band.
Well, that was Jeff. Jeff said, I've only been in 2 bands.
Yeah.
Capos, Casualties, and Funeral Shock, and neither band is breaking up. I was like, all right.
That's, yeah. And it's funny because then, and all the, I mean, I wish we did, if anything, I do wish also we recorded something with Kenny, because Kenny, I thought, was a hell of a good singer as well,
I recently listened to that live recording.
Mm-hmm. You did?
That we had. Yeah, I recently found like a CDR of that and listened to it, and I was like, damn, man.
Yeah, he was great.
It was crazy.
There's a video too. There's a couple videos.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, he couldn't take the heckling of the ramen kids though. That's almost like the best part of the recording.
I had fun watching that though. I was like, that's part of the deal, man. They're gonna roast you. So just.
I mean, in that era too, it was like just. I don't know, man. It was a great time to be doing Funeral Shock in that scene of with all those kids, and kind of being like older weirdo guys,
Yeah.
I mean, we all had beards, and that wasn't a cool thing,
No.
Brace probably has a beard now,
They all, Well, no, they all look, they all, or at some point they got mustaches. I remember they all got mustaches. This was after Funeral Shock. I was doing comedy, but I hung out. I went to Negative Tom's. He had a Halloween party. I remember going up. I think maybe it was still during Funeral Shock. I don't remember, but I don't remember the exact time. But I went to Negative Tom's up when he lived at like the top of the fucking hardest to reach place in San Francisco, and he had a
but Twin Peaks.
Yeah, he had a costume party. So my costume was looking like an old school Hesher. I didn't even know that was a word for it, but I had a Violence cut off t-shirt, and I was like, I'll just shave my beard into one of those handlebar mustaches or whatever. So I did it, and then I go to the thing, and because I feel like that was so out of character for me, because I never wore cut off shirts, and I would never have a mustache. And next thing you know, everybody there is like, dude, cool mustache, man. Like, what's your costume? And I was like, this is my costume. I'm like, I'm one of the dipshits from Heavy Metal Parking Lot or something. I don't know. And I said, it was cracking me up. I'm like, it's fine. It's, I thought the mustache would be I look like this dude. I basically look exactly like, I got him right here in my backgrounds. I looked almost exactly like this, except without a mullet. Yeah. 2 chicks at the same time. That was what I was going for. And everybody totally thought it was not it was not a joke. They thought that's just how I look, and I just decided not to wear a costume. And then guess what? All those dudes, next time I saw them, all had fucking mustaches. I couldn't fucking believe that was when I started to see mustaches left and right around that time, which was just, I'm like, and it wasn't like I felt I started it, but it was at a time like, this was a joke, motherfucker. Like, and now everybody thought mustaches were cool. I'm like, no, they're not. I've never thought they were. But it's all good. So, well, we've reached the hour point, a little over, or whatever. I don't know. Is there any other final thoughts, last words? Couple of,
I don't know, man.
Covering sleaze addicts,
Well, then we have to say farewell to the O'Farrell Theater.
Oh, that's it. You know, I've went there a couple times. I don't have as many, like, I had good memories there, but like, I'm more partial to, Market Street Cinema. Not that I have great memories there, but that was where my go-to was for cocaine and sobering up. And
I just think that theater, it's legendary.
It's
place.
history.
That mural, I don't know if that mural is going to survive, on the side, but I mean, damn, man. It
was coming according to what they said, they were going to be closing anyway. The pandemic just sped up what was inevitable. Seems like a lot of the stripper, I think a lot of the stripping industry is going DIY. It's a lot like comedy. It's moving out of the clubs and into independent venues and basements and shit. Like somebody in Oakland was running an open mic at their house during the pandemic, and they said, "Oh yeah, and if you're interested, they're down the street. There's like a underground strip club too for anybody." And I'm like, and then somebody mentioned it's like, well, during COVID, they're still doing. I'm like, I don't think, and I just remember thinking like, I don't think you understand that the shelter in place doesn't affect the strip club world or the underground stripping. There's all that shit. I just saw on the night of this current curfew. On the very night they enacted that 10 o'clock, no large gatherings and all that shit. It was 1:30 a.m. I would go to Taco Bell, and there was a fight that came barreling out of this Afghan restaurant that's right near my house. And it's 1:30 a.m. mind you. There's a fight, or these guys come barreling out. There's all these Afghan people all decked out like it was a wedding, all decked out in the nines. Young people, older people, elderly people, kids. 1:30 a.m. There had to have been like about 80 to 100 of them. None of them wearing masks. None of them, all coming from indoors. None of them wearing masks. Whatever the hell the shit was. And all it taught me, I was just like, well, I guess the Afghans don't believe any of it. Like they aren't buying any of this coronavirus shit, which kind of made me laugh because I had to work at Lake Elizabeth and we dealt with the Afghan community quite a bit. So yeah, it's very interesting to see who gives a shit and who don't about all this stuff. So I wear my mask, but doesn't mean that the world's gonna do it. So
I mean, I'm out there working, man. I go to work, I don't got one of those work from home jobs, so I'm wearing a mask. I'm around a lot of people, it is kind of make money, but there's definitely kind of multiple realities happening, beyond just like the weird political other realities, but just the reality of like, I'll talk to people and they'll be like, well, yeah, I mean, I'll be home. Like everybody's home. It's like, yeah, I'm not home. It's kind of creating it's different, but I wear a mask, man. Fuck it. I mean,
I was even wearing a mask. I was wearing a mask even when I was at first when all said. I remember thinking like, I'm only wearing this mask for everybody that wants me to see me wear a mask. I don't care if I believe. Like I didn't care whether I believed in it or not. And then,
well, that's a thing, man. That I've been tripping on about all this, like people who are like, oh, I'm not gonna wear the mask, and it's like I grew up getting picked on for being different. So I rode a skateboard. I had a shaved head. I had weird shirts. Tattoos, whatever. I always kind of stuck out, right? But like. I'm not trying to do it really. It's just like, that's just me. I'm just being myself, but I'm not like, trying to force it in anybody's face. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not trying to walk down the street and draw the attention of like the police or something. Right. So yeah, if they're saying wear a mask, I'm going to wear a fucking mask. Why would I want a cop to come up and stop me and start fucking with me just because I'm not wearing a stupid ass mask?
Yeah. And depending on what part of the country, they might fuck with you for wearing a mask. You never know.
Well, that's true, man. I mean, Chris went on a little road trip and was saying, he went through like Colorado and Wyoming and Montana and stuff. And
you wearing a mask? You must be one of them Californian libs. You're liberals out there. voted for Biden. I don't know why, whatever. They all got Southern accents when I do the impression. But
really quick though, what do you think the effect of COVID has had on ventriloquism?
Was this a joke you've been waiting to tell all fucking oh, man, wait till I spring this fucking gem. Dave's a comedian. I think he'll appreciate this. It's fucking.
I've been working on that one all night.
Oh shit, man. That's it's nice.
Nah,
but as far as I don't know when it comes to that's what I was saying. I wrote a joke, or this is what I wanted to say, because you mentioned something about I'm into the stuff that I'm into. I dress the way I dress, on stuff. I used to tell a joke about, because there's people that would always say, oh, being gay is a choice, or nowadays, being trans is a choice, or these kinds of things. And it's like, I don't think it's so much of a choice, because if you gave any gay person or trans person the option of like, okay, you could be gay or trans, or you could be me, they would choose to be gay or trans. So I get that it's not a choice. Like I didn't, I feel like I am who I am. I didn't choose to be this way. This is just how I feel. This is how I feel and how I am. And, so that's why I stay open to all of the variety of life that's out there and all that shit. So, and that's why I wear a fucking mask too. So I got some, because good bands made cool masks. That's the other reason why I'm like, once Melvin's made a mask, I was like, I'm on board with the masks. And then Swan's made some cool masks. And then Sleep made one. I hate God. But the funniest person, when I suggested it, the pushback I got was from Eric Wood. When I asked if Bastard Noise might make a mask, because I would wear a Bastard Noise mask. He goes, no, fuck that shit, wearing a fucking mask. I never thought of all people, but it makes sense, because he hates people. It's animals he loves. So it makes sense that he's not into the masks and I was just saying Bastard Noise mask would be kind of cool, but if you're not making one, no problem. I'll make my own. I'll take one of the many patches he's sent me and make a mask out of the motherfucker, and I'll wear that and send him a picture and piss him off. So anyway, right on, man. Thank you for taking the time and hanging out.
Yeah, man, it's great to talk to you, man.
Yeah, you as well, dude. We should do one of these with Dennis and have a little bullshit sesh or whatever. So
that'd be cool.
Fun. Yeah. So right on, man. Best wishes to you and the family. Say hi to Jasmine and the little one. And and you have a great rest of the week, dude.
Right on, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon, man. See you online.
All right, see you, Dave.
Holy shit, will you look at that? Nice up. What do you think?